So I've just come back from watching Warfare, a 1 hour 35 minute war film, obviously, because that's what the title says. Produced by I have no idea and directed by I also have no goddamn idea. But what I can say is the story of this is almost non-existent. It's more or less a live-action documentary is what this is. However, it has quite a few big names in: Will Poulter, Joseph Quinn, and then there's a few other guys who are just cast around. The dude from Shogun, the Englishman, is technically the main character of this, even though you never really get that sense. You don't know that it's his story. The character's called Elliot because it's based off a real veteran called Elliot. The film is set around a squadron in the Iraqi war, and it's basically just this entire squad. They get to a certain position, they lock down in this house, and they basically take over this house. There's a family in there, and they just keep them in this one room, and then they lock down and just hold position in this single house and watch for any jihadis out on the streets in the middle of the day. And that's basically all they do here. And the point is to show you that it's not all this action and gunfighting every 3 seconds, because even at different points it shows you their boredom. Like Joseph Quinn is just running his hand along dust and flicking it away just because he's bored, and other people are just flicking through books and stuff, and they're constantly just talking on their mics and listening for things. And Elliot, technically the main character, I don't even want to call him the main character because you never even get that feeling, because you equally kind of see everyone's perspective. But you may even think that Will Poulter is the main character, but no, because he's the captain of the squadron who we see. And that's more or less the entire story. Simply revolves around them being in this house, and then that house being ambushed by multiple of these, I believe it's jihadis. So they use the term jihadi in the film. I think it's Al-Qaeda because it's in Iraq. So anyway, basically they get ambushed by these multiple dudes with AKs, and that's basically the entire story. The story is more or less non-existent realistically when you're actually looking at the fruit of what happens in this movie. It's basically just one continuous long thing that happens, which is literally the entirety. So I'll just sum it up. So they're in this house, they're bored as shit, and they're just maintaining position, looking out for different people who they presume could be a threat. And Elliot, who is a sniper and is looking through this hole in this one room of the house, looks through, and he's been monitoring people for it's probably hours by that point, so he's aching. And then a grenade comes through that hole which he's looking through with his sniper, and that gets blown up, and Elliot is very badly injured. Well, not very badly, he's quite injured underneath his armpit. And the next 20 minutes is them basically retrieving the kit from that room that got exploded, because they constantly need their equipment out there. And because Elliot is injured, they then order in a tank to come and pick him up so he can go back to base with the medics and stuff. And once the tank arrives, the squadron then go out to try to transport Elliot into the tank, but an IUD then goes off, which kills like half the squad and mortally injures both Elliot and Joseph Quinn's character, blowing his legs off. And for the rest of the movie, Joseph Quinn is screaming his head off because his legs are just tattered and broken, and they have to switch him around and things and apply pressure, and he's just screaming horrendously for the rest of the film. So basically for the rest of the film, they're just applying medical pressure to Joseph Quinn's wounds, and Elliot, who basically for like 10 or even like 20-30 minutes of the movie, when he's back inside the house, which they retrieved him, he looks completely and utterly dead. I thought he's almost dead because he's covered in dust and there's blood from being blown across the chest and down his legs. But then he wakes up 20-30 minutes before the end of the film. And then the rest of the film is basically the surviving squadron then having to wait for another squad to come into the house where they're at and just try and give them medical aid, and then try think things through on what to do next. So the other squad come in like the goddamn A-team. They manage to patch him up and formulate a plan of getting 2 different medical tanks on both sides so they can both then escape from being surrounded. Because the entire time, from when the grenade comes in, all the houses around them are completely and utterly surrounded, and the streets. So, yeah, that's fun. And the movie ends with both Elliot and Joseph Quinn managing to be saved by the squadrons, going into the 2 tanks and then driving off. And that's the end of the film. I can't lie, that wasn't the best explanation I've ever given of a film, but yeah, it's a lot more simple just story-wise than that. Literally, they get there, get their position, get ambushed, try and get out. That is all that happens throughout the entire story. It is, they stay in this one house, and then they try and get out of this house. That is all that happens in the entirety of the film. And like I said before, I barely even count this as a film. As I'm watching it, it seemed very much more like a live-action documentary, or a live-action documentary remake of an account. God, I'm slurring like hell. I have not had enough water. And one thing I can say about it is I was on edge the entire time, because it's, like I said, it's like the documentary. It's a very realistic style, and the choreography for it was great. Like, they've obviously been, you see clips of after the film where they show each picture of each character who's being played by them. A lot of them blurred out because obviously they don't want their faces shown of who they actually were, but they did it nonetheless of all the characters who were there, and they then show clips of actual army guys training them on how to move from place to place, how they actually did the certain moves and the certain positionings together. So all the movements and stuff looked really choreographed, really good, really precise, and really realistic in what you'd expect for an army movie like this. So yeah, that was really, really cool to see, especially when you're just watching the film, because you never really kind of take that stuff into account. But if it wasn't there, you would 100% notice it. If you were watching it, you go, I don't think they'd actually do that in real life. It doesn't look as good or stuff. And it wasn't completely perfect either. There was a lot of mistakes and things, and they showed the mistakes they made. Like, there's a medic who spikes himself with morphine. He opens it the wrong way around. He spikes his own finger. They drop certain things when they're running and stuff. So it was very, very well choreographed on what actually happened. And I really like the perception that was created after the IUD goes off and the surviving squadron members are left there, because each one of them is going through their own sources of shock. Like the Will Poulter's character, the actual captain of that first squadron, he just stops, and he's so shook they just can't even move or function or make orders. So he literally just passes it to the new squadron leader when he comes in. He's literally like, mate, just take this because I need a fucking minute. And there's really cool dialogue that happens, like, for example, when Joseph Quinn asks the guy that was over the top of him doing the medical care on him, and he comes in saying there's 2 people who are mortally injured, and Joseph Quinn's asking, like, is he one of the ones which is injured? Because he has no idea, and his legs are completely blown off, and he's been screaming the entire time. So he's been screaming the entire time, and he's still asking, is it actually him that's injured, even though his legs are completely torn, and he feels that as well. So yeah, that's quite a cool detail. So yeah, as a movie, I think it's really, really weird for me to try rate this, because it's, in terms of story, not a lot happened. It's just a recounting of Elliot's version of the ambush in Iraq, and that's basically all it is, and them managing to get out. It's just his recount of that. So not necessarily a lot happens in terms of that, but the tension in it is incredible for the fact that there wasn't actually that much I guess story to it. So because of that and all the other aspects, like the practical effects and like the jets and things, which may have even been CGI, I couldn't tell for a second, but there was a lot of good practical effects. I think the budget of this film was 20 million, and it's made over 8 million in the first week, so it's going to do better at the box office, so it won't fail. So that's quite good for this film. And based on just those factors, I think I'm going to rate this, I think I'll give this a 9 out of 10, because I don't know, it's just really cool. The tension just didn't stop at all. Like, every time Elliot's looking down the scope and he's looking at the different just people walking around, and he's talking about which ones could and couldn't be hostiles or potential hostiles. And yeah, just every time there's movements or just the slow looking out the windows and things, it's just on edge the entire time. Even for half the film, you don't even have or hear or see any hostiles at all. There are just zero. You don't even hear it at all. It's just them kind of talking about that they're surrounded, and you have fucking no idea as the audience. It's just, yeah, so you're kind of separated in that fact, but you're still there, and it's still incredibly tense. So yeah, I think it's really, really good. And I couldn't even really tell you why I haven't given it a 10. It's just I don't know if I can, because it's an hour and 35 minutes long, and not much happens because it's just recounting the ambush. Maybe if they showed a little bit more about, I don't know, when they came back or something like that. I don't even really know what they could do for me to try and improve that. I just personally feel I'm going to put it a 9, because a 10 has to be perfect on a fucking movie to be a 10. So, yeah. Anyway, if you've watched this, let me know. If you haven't watched this, go watch it. I would recommend it, because it's a really cool, weird experience, and it's just really, really realistic. Like I said, I rate it far more as a like a documentary live action than I do an actual just film. So yeah, thank you for watching, and bye.